only about a week left before free agency starts, and a lot of news just came out in the last about 12, 13 hours. We first start off with the Bucks have re-signed Lavonte David to a 2-year extension worth $25 million, but they have not re-signed Shaquille Barrett. Shaquille Barrett, if he goes into free agency, no matter where he goes, he's going to be a valuable asset. A lot of people are going to be looking his way. You're talking teams that might need some defensive help. Minnesota, Dallas, Philadelphia. This is just going to be a very interesting scale. Now, entering last night, we heard some news that Malcolm Butler was actually going to be cut, and it came out about 8 o'clock at night, where we saw he was cut, cap saving measure, but he was cut, and a lot of people are going to look his way in free agency. Kyle Long, the former Bear, is unretiring. He's going to be a free agent. Kyle Long and Chris Long are both Howie Long's sons. Chris played all those years in Chicago, Kyle played all those years in Chicago. Chris played all those years in multiple different cities, such as the Rams, the Patriots, and the Eagles. However, another thing about the Bears is the Bears, about 3:40 at night, about 3:40, 20 minutes before the deadline hit, they franchise tagged Allen Robinson. However, the Steelers and the Chargers have decided not to tag Bud Dupree and Hunter Henry. They've decided that they're not going to keep them unless they can reach a long-term deal within the next week. The Seahawks are allowing Chris Carson to go into free agency, as they're not tagging him or Shaquille Griffin, who a lot of people are going to look at Shaquille Griffin because just like Malcolm Butler, they had their best year. Shaquille Griffin is still a young player, very aggressive, but he's going to be a great player. The Titans are not going to did not tag Jonnu Smith, their star tight end, which means wherever he goes, he's going to be a valuable asset. Also, the Vikings have released Dan Bailey. The Vikings have released Dan Bailey, in which Dan Bailey, the hardest thing about being a kicker or a punter, and I'm not the best to explain this, but I'll do my best. It's such a mental part of the sport, because you're not doing very much physically. It's more of you gotta keep yourself in pretty good shape. But Dan Bailey had all those great years in Dallas, and then had one bad year, and then got replaced by Brett Maher, who only lasted 2 years before the Cowboys moved on to Greg Zuerlein. Dan Bailey then went to Minnesota, who he looked like he had a bounce back year. He did. The man looked like he played much better. He still missed a couple, but he looked way better. Then this year was probably is his worst year as a pro. Probably since his rookie year. Maybe even of his whole career. Because he was missing everything. He missed extra points, which are not a gimme anymore, and he missed field goals widely. He never did that when he was with Dallas, so I don't know if it's because he can't really kick outside. Even though Minnesota does not play outside, they play in a dome. But it just seemed like he struggled. And you hope he can find that player in him, because, and I'm not the best to explain this because it's I never kicked a pro football for a living, but a person who did explain this was Pat McAfee on a show, the Pat McAfee Show, which is on YouTube. He explained that kicking a ball, there's so much going into it. You have to snap the ball, kick the ball in 1.25 seconds. In order to kick the ball perfectly so it goes in, have a very great chance of it going in, you have to basically, with your eyes, cut the ball in half and kick a small square spot about this big. You have to kick that area so it would go. Otherwise, it goes this way, or goes this way, or it doesn't go straight. It doesn't do anything. It's like playing, if you're a golfer, you need to hit that right spot so it goes the way you want it. If you don't do that, well, now it's gonna turn left, or it's gonna come short, it's gonna go too far, it's gonna chip, it's gonna do all these little things. As a kicker, it's basically the same way. And the same thing with a punter. It's because they are so forced to worry about wind, worry about if I hit this correctly. It's a very big thing. But it's also right up here. And that's the whole thing about football. One of my favorite quotes is, football is 90% mental, 10% physical. And you're like, how is that possible? Well, you gotta know what you're doing, know all the plays, know all your assignments and what has to happen to make that play work. And so you can blow up the other play. Where if you're a linebacker, your job is to make sure you do your coverage responsibilities, you make sure everyone's on the same page, and then if it's to stop the running back, you have to make sure you shoot the gap perfectly and do all those things right. It's very challenging. But the late great Marty Schottenheimer had a great saying when he was playing. He said, I was playing, and he played for the Buffalo Bills. He made a mistake one time. He didn't seal a tackle, and the guy escaped and got a big gain. And so the next play, when he went on the next play and the guy came right back at him, he's like, I can't make that mistake again. I can't make that mistake again. And now he made 2 mistakes. So now he's got 2 things to worry about. And it went on and on through the whole drive, and then the other team scored a touchdown. And through his whole coaching career, he told people, you can't fix the past. You can't fix the past. What you have to do is understand, yes, I did this wrong, but I gotta move forward now. I gotta forgive myself. I gotta move forward. Because it's not gonna change anything. Which, if you're a coach, that's right, that's great advice, but it's very difficult to do, to get it into a player's head. Because especially when they get into their own head, it's very difficult to get out. It's not that simple. Some more. Another person that didn't get tagged was Carla Larson. Carla Larson, we haven't heard much of the last few years because he's played in Cincinnati. He was not tagged. He's looking for a long-term extension. But if he does get into free agency, there will be people still looking his way. Because he's still a really good player. It's just, he needs to have some... He needs to go to a team that actually allows him to be a great player. The Saints have released Emmanuel Sanders and Kawan Alexander. Would not be surprised in this free agency group, they look primarily at both of those two guys because they both have great production still in them. And finally, the salary cap ceiling has been announced. It will be at $182.5 million, which a lot of people don't understand. Well, that's only $2.5 million more than what the bottom is, what the base is. You're right. The floor is 180 million, and this one is only 182.5 million. But this is what's going to happen for a while, and it's not because the NFL is not making money anymore. It's because when the new TV deals come out, that's going to boost up the salary cap, boost up the tickets. Everyone's going to try and get into this. The NFL, in terms of it losing money, is not losing money. They're actually gaining. They came off one of the most successful years. Even during a pandemic, they still came off in a successful year. So it just explains on how great the NFL is to anyone who watches it. But what do you guys think? Should Kyle Long come out of retirement? And also, should the salary cap be as low as it is?